Mr. JS Rawat, I'd like you to comment on this. How much of a possibility is this that, there was some problem either with the aircraft, as the whistleblower has pointed out, which Captain Karve is saying, or the possibility of a faulty part that has led to this kind of a situation? Either which ways, it will raise questions about the quality of the aircraft itself.
At this stage, it is very early stage to point a blame to anything what has happened actually. Whatever appears now from the evidences that the aircraft multi-engine failure has taken place after the takeoff. Because of that, aircraft could not go. But what is the reason? It is very premature to say that what was it, whether it was a fuel problem or was it anything else. So it is not difficult to tell at this stage because what has happened actually. The investigation will lead to that. Now they have to, if they have the investigators have found primarily that there was a dual engine failure. So what was the cause of that? It will take a long time to determine and find out what is the problem.
Right. And let me bring in Mr. Devesh Agarwal on this. Devesh Agarwal, what do you reckon of this particular report? Yes, there are questions being raised by a parliamentary committee. In the midst of that, we are told that internally the report has been submitted. But the larger question is, when will it be made public? And, there are questions. There are questions about the aircraft. There are questions about maintenance. There are all sorts of questions that are doing the rounds. Where are you looking at and in terms of identifying the problem when it comes to this crash?
Good evening, Madhav, and thank you for having me. See, I have always held that we need to wait for the preliminary report. There is no point of us, taking a guess as to what has gone wrong. The preliminary report has been shared with the government. In a way, it kind of reinforces my thing that the aaib is still under the Ministry of Civil Aviation, and sometimes the regulator itself comes into play. Did they conduct did they do their oversight properly? So it kind of creates a bit of conflicts here and there. Captain Mittal talked about, a potential faulty part in the throttle quadrant. And it's not necessarily a maintenance issue or even a, whistleblower kind of issue. I'll just go back quickly. There was a EasyJet aircraft that was flying from, I think, Spain to the UK, and a totally unexpected small component failed, and despite having 3 different backup systems, the aircraft was suddenly left with no radar, no communications, and no autopilot at all. They had to manually fly it. And at the same time, they had planes that were, crossing over their path at the same altitude. So it took a lot of, they couldn't even transmit, their transponder stopped working. So they couldn't even transmit the emergency signal of 7700. So it was not a failure of anything else, but it was a confluence sometimes. That is why the accident investigations need to be run independently, and we need to let the parliamentarians and all, please request them to stay out of it till the report comes. Once the final report comes, then you start looking at it. And the purpose of a report, whether preliminary or even a final, is not to assign blame, but to find out the actual cause. Why did this happen? So like that, when that part failed, they realized, the designers at Airbus realized that, oh, we have made this assumption, and this assumption has just got obliterated because
Boeing in this case, yeah.
Yeah, no, I was using the EasyJet as an example. I'm just saying that a very small sensor failed, and what they had assumed as a safety system with 3 backups stopped working. So it sometimes happens that in real life, you come across a situation where you may not have been able to predict what has happened, which component has failed, and how it has led to a cascade of failures.
Absolutely.
So the purpose of an investigation is...
No, I think you have a fair point, because there are over 1,000 such Dreamliners that are flying globally, 1,200 if I'm not mistaken. And let me bring in Captain Mittal back on this.